All right, so today we are going deep on New York City architecture.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
I love it.
We've got so much to cover, like centuries
Yeah.
of design,
Centuries, yeah.
ambition, maybe even a little magic.
Absolutely.
We've got blueprints.
Yeah.
We've got architectural guides, Wikipedia, historical society websites.
Oh, wow.
And we're even going to peek into a book all about iconic New York City buildings.
Very cool. I'm excited.
So get ready, because we're going to see this city that never sleeps in a whole new light.
You know, one of the things that's always fascinated me about New York City architecture is that it's so much more than just aesthetics.
Oh, yeah.
It's a history book.
Totally.
Written in steel and stone, telling the story of the city's evolution, its dreams, and its constant drive to reach higher.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Right.
Okay, so let's start flipping through the pages of this history book, shall we?
Sounds good.
I was reading that the very layout of Lower Manhattan with its tight-knit streets is a direct echo of Amsterdam,
It is.
a long way from the Netherlands.
It is. It's a fascinating reminder that New York, from its very beginning, was a global crossroads. Those Dutch, with their mercantile spirit, really set the stage for a city built on trade and commerce.
Oh, yeah.
Those narrow winding streets weren't just a design choice, they were practical for a bustling port city.
That's true.
Right.
But then in 1664, the English take over, right? Did they just bulldoze all that Dutch influence and start from scratch?
Well, as with any city that's on the fast track, practicality often wins out over preservation.
True.
So yeah, a lot of those early Dutch structures were lost to the city's constant need to grow and change.
Makes sense.
But you can still find whispers of that Dutch heritage if you know where to look.
Ooh. Okay, give me some of those insider secrets.
Okay, so take Federal Hall, for example.
Yeah.
Now, it's often overlooked amongst all the skyscrapers, but it's actually a powerful symbol of New York's rise to prominence. It reminds us that New York quickly transitioned from a small trading outpost to a powerhouse of maritime commerce and a central hub for shipping and finance.
Okay, so the Dutch set the stage, the English came in, things started booming,
They did.
and then bam,
What?
the Great Fire of 1835 hits.
Oh, yeah.
I can only imagine that event was a major plot twist in our architectural story.
Absolutely. That fire was devastating.
I bet.
And it completely changed the city's approach to building.
Yeah.
Suddenly, wood was out and stone and brick were in.
Oh, wow.
That's why when you walk through the older parts of the city, you see such a variety of textures and colors.
Yeah.
It's like the city's fiery past is literally etched into its wall.
Yeah, like the city's DNA is embedded in those bricks and stones.
Right.
Okay, let's fast forward a bit.
Okay.
We can't talk about New York City without mentioning those iconic skyscrapers.
The skyline.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
skyline.
Yeah.
Was there a specific moment when New York decided to start reaching for the clouds?
It was a gradual climb, but the late 19th century was definitely a turning point. New York found itself in a race for the title of world's tallest building.
Wow.
A competition fueled by ambition, ego, and some serious engineering breakthroughs.
I can only imagine.
Imagine the audacity of trying to build something taller than anything the world had ever seen.
Yeah, those architects, I can just picture them huddled over their plans,
Yeah,
dreaming of pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
for sure.
But was it just about bragging rights, or were there other factors that drove this skyscraper obsession?
Well, the soaring stock market of the 1920s certainly didn't hurt.
Of course.
But the truth is that skyscrapers were also a response to a very real challenge: limited space.
That makes sense.
New York was bursting at the seams, and the only way to grow was up.
Yeah, you can't exactly sprawl outward when you're surrounded by water.
Exactly.
So-
But this upward growth created a new problem: darkness.
Oh.
As buildings climbed higher and higher, the streets below were plunged into shadow.
Ah, that's where the 1916 zoning resolution comes in.
Exactly.
So that's why so many of those early skyscrapers have those distinctive setbacks.
Right.
Like a giant wedding cake.
Yeah,
It wasn't just an aesthetic choice. It was a way to let sunlight reach the streets.
precisely.
Wow.
And it's a great example of how architectural decisions are often driven by a combination of practical considerations, aesthetic aspirations, and even a bit of social engineering.
It's like the city's buildings are constantly in conversation with each other,
I like that.
vying for space and light.
And with the people who live among them.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because ultimately, architecture is about creating spaces for human lives to unfold.
Yeah.
And in a city as dynamic as New York, that means constant adaptation and reinvention.
So it's not just about iconic skyscrapers.
Right, yeah,
There's more to New York's architectural story than just these towering giants.
of course.
What about those charming neighborhoods tucked away from the hustle and bustle?
You're talking about those quintessential New York brownstones. They actually hold a special place in the city's architectural history.
Really?
They're not just pretty facades, they represent a whole way of life.
I've always loved those brownstone blocks.
Yeah?
It's like they have their own personality with those stoop railings and ornate doorways.
Yeah.
And the color, that beautiful reddish-brown sandstone.
Right.
It's like the city has its own signature hue.
It's interesting. The very term brownstone became synonymous with this type of housing, and for a reason.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about the material.
Yeah.
These homes represent a shift in urban living from crowded tenements to more spacious, family-oriented dwellings.
So brownstones were like a step up, literally and figuratively.
Exactly.
Got it.
And you see variations of this style throughout the city, reflecting the different needs and aspirations of New Yorkers. You have the grand brownstones of Brooklyn Heights, for instance, with their ornate details and expansive layouts.
Brooklyn Heights.
Yeah.
Isn't that right across the Brooklyn Bridge?
You got it.
Okay.
And that bridge, completed in 1883, played a huge role in shaping Brooklyn Heights' identity.
Yeah.
It was a game changer.
How so?
Suddenly, this quiet neighborhood across the river was easily accessible to Manhattan,
Okay.
and it became a sought-after haven for those seeking a more relaxed lifestyle, almost like the city's first suburb.
Wow. It's amazing how a single piece of infrastructure, like a bridge,
Yeah,
can have such a ripple effect on a city's development.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a testament to the power of architecture and engineering to shape not just the physical landscape, but the social and cultural fabric of a city.
Speaking of shaping the landscape, I've always been fascinated by those rooftop water towers.
Oh, yeah.
You see them perched atop so many New York buildings.
I know.
They're like quirky little hats
They are.
for the city's rooftop.
They are.
Are they purely decorative or do they serve a practical purpose?
Oh, they're definitely functional.
Okay.
Those water towers are a product of necessity. In the 19th century, water pressure wasn't strong enough to reach the upper floors of taller buildings.
Wow.
So these rooftop tanks became a necessity, acting as reservoirs to ensure a steady water supply throughout the building.
So they're not just whimsical additions to the skyline.
Nope.
They're like miniature lifelines for those buildings.
They are.
It's amazing how something so seemingly simple can tell us so much about the city's past
Right.
and its ingenious solutions to everyday challenges.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even in a city as grand and ambitious as New York,
Yeah.
sometimes the most fascinating stories are found in the smallest details.
No, it's true.
It's all about looking closer, peeling back the layers, and discovering those hidden connections that make the city so unique.
Okay, we've talked about Dutch influences.
Yes.
The rise of the skyscraper, those charming brownstones,
Yeah.
even the quirky rooftop water towers.
Mm-hmm.
But New York didn't just grow organically, right? There had to be some serious planning and foresight involved to create a city that could accommodate such rapid growth.
You're right, and that's where we step into the world of urban planning and infrastructure.
Okay.
Now, think back to the 1811 Commissioner's Plan.
Yeah.
They were tasked with envisioning the future of the city,
Oh, wow.
and they came up with a bold solution: the grid system.
The grid system,
Yeah,
love it or hate it, it definitely makes navigating the city a lot easier.
I know, right?
I can't imagine trying to find my way around those winding streets of Lower Manhattan all the time.
Exactly.
It'd be tough.
But not everyone was a fan of the grid.
Oh, really?
Yeah, some saw it as too rigid, too artificial.
Interesting.
Take Frederick Law Olmsted,
Yeah.
the visionary landscape architect who designed Central Park.
Central Park.
He believed that the grid's strict geometry missed an opportunity for more organic, human-centered urban design.
Well, Central Park is a masterpiece.
It is.
A green oasis in the heart of the city. For sure. I can see why Olmsted would be a champion for a more natural approach to urban planning.
Yeah,
But New York also needed to find ways to connect its different boroughs, right?
it did.
That's where those iconic bridges and tunnels come in.
Exactly. And each bridge and tunnel represents a feat of engineering and a testament to the city's determination to overcome geographical obstacles.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They're not just about practicality, they're also architectural marvels, each with its own story to tell.
Like the Brooklyn Bridge, for example.
Yes,
It's more than just a way to get from Brooklyn to Manhattan.
it is.
It's an icon, a symbol of the city's ambition
Right.
and its embrace of modern engineering.
Yeah.
Those soaring cables, those graceful arches.
I know, it's beautiful.
It's like the bridge is dancing across the East River.
Then you have the tunnels, burrowing beneath the rivers, connecting the boroughs in a subterranean network.
Yeah.
The Holland Tunnel, the Lincoln Tunnel, the Queens Midtown Tunnel, each one a testament to the city's constant drive to push boundaries and find new ways to connect and expand.
It's like New York is always looking for ways to defy limitations, whether it's building skyscrapers that pierce the sky.
Yeah.
Or tunnels that delve beneath the earth.
Absolutely.
But with all this growth, how did the city address the ever-growing need for housing?
Right.
Especially for a population that was exploding in the early 20th century.
That's where large-scale housing projects came into play.
Okay.
Both public and private ventures emerged, trying to find solutions for housing the masses.
Okay.
On the one hand, you had the New York City Housing Authority,
Oh, yeah.
a public agency tackling the challenge of high-density living with innovative approaches like the superblock principle.
Superblock?
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean?
Think of it as a city within a city.
Okay.
These superblocks were designed to create large, self-contained communities
Okay.
with ample green space, community facilities, and even childcare centers. It was a response to the city's growing pains, a way to provide not just housing, but a sense of community.
This sounds like a pretty progressive idea for the time.
It was.
Were these superblocks successful in achieving their goals?
Well, like any grand experiment in urban planning, the superblock concept had its share of critics.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What were some of the arguments against it?
Well, some argued that these self-contained communities could lead to isolation and a lack of integration with the surrounding city.
That's interesting.
It's a debate that continues to this day. How do we design for density without sacrificing the vibrancy and interconnectedness that makes cities so vital?
It's a fascinating dilemma.
It is.
And it's a reminder that there's always more than one side to every architectural story.
That's true.
What about private developers?
Yeah.
What were they doing to address the housing shortage?
Well, private developers definitely had their own vision for how to house New York's growing population.
Right.
And they were often driven by a different set of priorities, focusing on creating profitable developments that catered to specific demographics.
Okay, so give me an example.
Sure.
What kind of housing projects did these private developers come up with?
One of the most notable examples is Stuyvesant Town.
Stuyvesant Town.
Yeah, a massive development built by the Metropolitan Life Insurance Company.
Isn't that the one near the East River with those distinctive red brick buildings?
That's the one.
It always looks so self-contained, like its own little world.
It was marketed as a middle-class haven, offering affordable housing with its own parks, playgrounds, and amenities.
That's cool.
But it also sparked controversy.
Oh, why was that?
Well, for one thing, Stuyvesant Town had very strict admission policies,
Oh,
excluding certain groups and contributing to segregation.
I see.
And it also displaced existing residents and businesses, raising questions about the impact of large-scale development on communities.
So it seems like both public and private housing projects came with their own set of challenges
They did.
and unintended consequences.
Right.
It's fascinating how architectural decisions,
Yeah.
even those made with the best intentions, can have such ripple effects on a city's social fabric.
It's a reminder that architecture is never just about bricks and mortar.
Yeah.
It's about people, communities, and the complex interplay of forces that shape urban life.
Okay, we've covered Dutch gables, soaring skyscrapers, those cozy brownstone neighborhoods, and even the complexities of large-scale housing projects.
Right?
What else is there to uncover in this architectural treasure chest?
Lots.
What about those hidden gems, the lesser-known buildings,
Oh, I love those.
that whisper secrets of the city's past?
I know.
I'm all ears.
Now you're talking.
Give me something good.
New York is a city full of architectural surprises, just
Yeah.
when you think you've seen it all.
I bet.
You stumble upon a building that makes you stop and wonder, how did I miss this?
That's so true.
And that's what makes exploring the city so rewarding. You're constantly discovering new layers, new stories, new perspectives.
Okay, I'm hooked. Spill the beans.
Right.
Give me some examples of those hidden gems.
Okay.
I'm ready to add them to my architectural bucket list.
All right, let's start with a true pioneer of modern design, the Illuminaire House.
The Illuminaire House. Okay,
Oh.
what's so special about it?
Get this. It was the first all-metal house built in the United States.
A metal house.
I know.
That's so forward-thinking for its time.
I know. Constructed in 1931,
Okay.
it was a prefabricated marvel showcasing the potential of new materials and construction techniques.
Wow, I wonder if the people who built it knew they were creating something that would influence generations of architects.
I know, right?
It's amazing.
It's a great reminder that sometimes the most groundbreaking ideas come in unexpected packages.
Yeah.
And speaking of unexpected, let's jump over to 112 124 West 11th Street.
Okay.
This is a row of houses with a very curious feature. Multi-story balconies that look like they belong in New Orleans.
Balconies in New York. That's not something you see every day.
Especially not those elaborate multi-story ones.
Yeah. How did they end up there?
Their existence is thanks to a quirk of urban planning.
Okay.
These houses sit on unusually deep lots, a remnant of the irregular street patterns of Greenwich Village.
Oh! Yeah.
This unexpected space allowed for the addition of those charming balconies.
It's like a little piece of the South transplanted to the heart of Manhattan.
It is.
I'm adding this to my list.
Okay.
What else have you got? I'm loving these architectural Easter eggs.
All right, let's finish up with a stop you might not expect on an architectural tour. Alan Dick's Steakhouse.
Okay, Alan Dick's Steakhouse now. I know what you're thinking. What's so special about a steakhouse?
Well, the steak is legendary, but the architecture is what sets this place apart.
Okay, I'll bite.
The building has a facade made entirely of vertical planks, a striking visual that sets it apart from its neighbors.
Okay, I can picture that.
Yeah.
Those vertical planks must create a very unique texture and pattern. Is there a story behind this design choice?
There's always a story, right?
Right.
The vertical planks were a deliberate choice to create a sense of height and drama,
Okay.
but the real magic is inside.
Oh, what's waiting for us behind those wooden planks?
Step inside and you'll find a cozy interior
Okay.
with a low arched ceiling,
Okay.
brick walls, and natural wood finishes.
That sounds cozy.
It's a blend of rustic charm and modern design, proving that architectural beauty can be found even in the most unexpected places.
You know, I love how this deep dive is revealing a whole new side of New York City.
Oh, good.
I'm starting to see the city with fresh eyes,
Yeah.
noticing details I never would have paid attention to before.
That's the beauty of exploring architecture.
Yeah.
It's about opening yourself up to the stories embedded in the built environment,
Right.
the stories that connect us to the past, the present, and the future.
So what you're saying is, next time I'm wandering through New York, I shouldn't just look up at the skyscrapers.
No.
I should look closer,
Yeah.
explore those side streets, and see what hidden gems I can unearth.
Exactly. You never know what architectural treasures you might find tucked away in this city.
Yeah,
It's all about keeping your eyes open and your curiosity piqued.
I like it.
And who knows?
What?
Maybe you'll even stumble upon your own hidden gem.
Yeah?
A building that speaks to you, that sparks your imagination, that makes you appreciate the power of architecture to shape our lives and our cities.
I'm ready for the challenge.
Good.
Thanks for opening my eyes to a whole new way of seeing New York.
Of course.
I have a feeling this deep dive is just the beginning of my architectural adventures.
I hope so. And you know, it's not just about aesthetics. Like when you think about those super blocks we talked about,
Yeah.
they were designed with good intentions.
Right.
Right. Like more green space, a stronger sense of community.
Yeah.
But it also raises the question of how we design for density without losing that vibrant, interconnected feeling
Right.
that makes city life so exciting.
It's like trying to find that perfect balance, isn't it?
That's it.
Enough space for everyone, but also that sense of energy and flow that makes a city feel alive.
Exactly. And it's a conversation that's happening in cities all over the world, not just New York.
Right.
How do we create spaces where people can thrive both individually and collectively?
It really makes you think about the choices we make as a society when it comes to our built environment.
He does.
Like, what are we prioritizing?
Yeah.
What kind of legacy are we leaving for future generations?
Those are important questions to consider.
They are.
And it's not just about grand visions or sweeping urban plans. Sometimes it's about those seemingly small decisions,
Yeah.
like choosing to preserve a historic facade or incorporating a public park into a new development.
I guess what you're saying is that architecture isn't just about creating beautiful buildings.
Yeah.
It's about shaping the human experience.
Absolutely. And when we talk about New York City architecture,
Yeah.
one of the things that stands out is its adaptability.
Hmm.
This city has always been in flux, constantly evolving and reinventing itself. And its architecture reflects that.
From those early Dutch trading posts to the towering skyscrapers,
Right.
from those cozy brownstone neighborhoods to those massive public housing projects.
Yeah.
It's like the city's architecture is a timeline of its ambitions and its struggles.
Exactly. And that ability to adapt, to embrace new technologies, and to respond to changing needs,
Yeah.
that's essential for any city that wants to thrive in the 21st century.
So it's not about clinging to the past.
No.
It's about learning from it and using those lessons to create a better future.
Precisely, and that's where the real excitement lies.
Great.
How can we use architecture as a tool for positive change, for creating more equitable, sustainable, and inspiring urban environments?
It's like architecture is a language.
I like that.
And if we learn to speak it fluently, we can use it to tell new stories,
Right.
to shape a better world.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Thanks.
And it brings us back to those hidden architectural gems we were discussing. They remind us that innovation isn't always about grand gestures or sweeping statements.
Yeah.
It can be found in the details, the unexpected solutions,
Mhm.
the buildings that challenge our preconceptions of what architecture can be.
Like the Illuminaire house, that all-metal marvel from the 1930s.
Exactly.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most groundbreaking ideas come in small packages.
And sometimes they're hidden in plain sight,
Yeah.
like those balconies on West 11th Street.
Yeah.
Just a quirk of urban planning, but it resulted in a delightful architectural surprise.
It's like the city is full of these little secrets just waiting to be discovered.
It is.
And that's what makes exploring architecture so fascinating.
It is.
It's not just about the buildings themselves.
Right.
It's about the stories they tell, the people who built them,
Yeah.
the lives that unfold within them.
And in a city as layered and complex as New York, that's a pretty amazing thing to contemplate.
It is. You've got me feeling inspired.
Good.
I'm ready to grab my walking shoes and go on an architectural adventure.
That's the spirit. And as you're wandering, remember to look beyond the surface.
Okay.
Ask yourself, what does this building tell me about the city?
Hmm.
How does it make me feel?
Yeah.
What stories are hidden within its walls?
Because every building, every bridge, every park is a piece of the puzzle that makes up New York City.
Right.
And understanding those pieces, even the smallest ones, helps us to appreciate the grand tapestry of this incredible urban environment.
And that appreciation, that sense of wonder and connection is something we can carry with us wherever we go.
I love that.
Because architecture isn't just about buildings, it's about the spaces we inhabit, the communities we create,
Yeah.
and the stories we tell through the built environment.
So whether you're a lifelong New Yorker or just visiting for the first time, take a moment to really see the city.
Yes.
Explore its architectural wonders, discover those hidden gems, and let yourself be amazed.
Because in a city that never sleeps, there's always something new to discover, a hidden story waiting to be told. An architectural adventure just around the corner.
Speaking of architectural adventures, remember how we were talking about how the city's need for housing played a role in shaping its architectural landscape?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just about creating more living spaces.
Right.
It was also about moving people around efficiently.
You're bringing up the fascinating intersection of architecture and transportation.
Yeah.
New York City's growth wasn't just vertical, with skyscrapers reaching for the sky.
Yeah.
It was also horizontal, with the city expanding outward, connecting different boroughs and communities.
And that's where those parkways come in, right?
Exactly.
They're not just roads.
No.
They're architectural feats in their own right,
For sure.
designed to handle the ever-increasing flow of traffic.
Think of parkways like the Henry Hudson Parkway
Okay.
and the Belt Parkway.
Okay.
They weren't just about getting people from point A to point B.
Right.
They were designed with aesthetics in mind, incorporating landscaping and scenic views to enhance the driving experience. They were meant to be more than just conduits for cars.
Yeah.
They were integrated into the city's fabric, connecting neighborhoods and creating a more cohesive urban experience.
It's amazing how something as functional as a road can also be a work of art.
It is, and it's a testament to the vision of the architects and urban planners
Right.
who understood that transportation infrastructure could be more than just utilitarian.
Yeah.
It could be beautiful and contribute to the overall quality of life in the city.
They weren't just thinking about moving cars.
Yeah.
They were thinking about moving people and creating a more livable city.
Precisely, and that approach extended beyond just the parkways themselves.
Okay.
Take, for instance, the Lincoln Tunnel's bus terminal.
Okay.
It wasn't just a place to park buses.
Right.
It was designed to minimize street congestion and improve the flow of traffic in and out of the tunnel.
So they were thinking holistically about how all these different pieces fit together.
Exactly, and that's a key takeaway from studying New York City's architectural history.
What is
It's not just about individual buildings.
Yeah.
It's about how those buildings interact with each other, with the streets, with the transportation systems, and with the people who use them.
It's like a giant puzzle. where each piece has its own unique shape and function.
Right.
But they all work together to create this incredible, ever-evolving cityscape.
And that puzzle is constantly being rearranged
I bet.
as the city adapts to new challenges, new technologies, and new ways of living.
It makes you wonder what the next chapter in New York City's architectural story will be.
That's the beauty of it. The story is never truly finished.
That's true.
There's always something new being built, something old being reimagined,
Yeah.
something unexpected waiting to be discovered.
Okay, I'm feeling that architectural wanderlust kicking in again. I'm ready to hit the streets and see what hidden gems I can find. It's amazing to think about all the architectural styles we've encountered on this journey. From those early Dutch gables to the Art Deco spires of the Chrysler Building, from the cozy charm of brownstone neighborhoods to those massive public housing projects. It's like we flipped through an entire encyclopedia of design and human ingenuity.
And it's not just the variety of styles that's impressive, it's the sheer scale of it all. You have these grand expressions of ambition, like the skyscrapers that seem to defy gravity. And then you have these intimate moments of human scale design, like those tucked away gardens and those quirky rooftop water towers.
It's because the city is a giant canvas, and every architect who's ever worked here has added their own brushstroke, creating this incredible tapestry of styles and influences.
And that tapestry is always evolving. New buildings are going up, old ones are being repurposed, neighborhoods are changing. It's a constant dance between preservation and innovation.
So if you had to pick one thing that defines New York City architecture, what would it be? What's the common thread that runs through all these different styles and eras?
You know, for me, it comes back to that idea of adaptation we talked about earlier. New York's architecture is a reflection of the city's constant state of change, its ability to absorb new influences, to reinvent itself, to push boundaries, and to do it all while still retaining a sense of its own unique identity.
It's like the city's built environment is a living organism constantly evolving and adapting to its surroundings.
Exactly. And that evolution isn't always pretty or harmonious. There are scars, there are mistakes, there are lost landmarks that we mourn.
Like the old Pennsylvania station, I've seen pictures of it, and it was a masterpiece.
Right.
It's heartbreaking to think that such a grand and beautiful building was demolished.
Yeah, it is. It's a reminder that architectural decisions have consequences. And sometimes those consequences aren't fully understood until it's too late. But even those losses are part of the city's story. They remind us of the importance of preservation, of cherishing the architectural heritage that makes New York so unique.
So it's not just about celebrating the successes. It's also about learning from the missteps, understanding how architectural decisions shape our lives in both positive and negative ways.
And using that knowledge to create a better future, that's where the real challenge and the real opportunity lie. How can we design buildings and cities that are not only beautiful, but also functional, sustainable, and equitable?
Because architecture isn't just about the past, it's about the present and the future. It's about creating spaces that inspire us, that connect us, that reflect our values.
And in a city as diverse and dynamic as New York, that's a pretty tall order. But it's also an incredibly exciting one. Just think about all the possibilities. What kind of buildings will shape the New York skyline 100 years from now? What kind of neighborhoods will people call home? What kind of architectural legacy will we leave for future generations?
It's mind-boggling to think about, and a little bit daunting too, but mostly it's exciting. Because it means that the story of New York City architecture is still being written. And we all have a role to play in shaping that story.
Absolutely. Whether you're an architect, an urban planner, a city resident, or simply someone who appreciates beautiful buildings, you have a voice in this conversation. And that's what I hope you take away from this deep dive, a sense of curiosity, a desire to look at the built environment with fresh eyes, to ask questions, to uncover the hidden stories that surround us.
Because every building, every bridge, every park has a story to tell. And those stories taken together create the rich tapestry of a city's identity.
And in a city like New York, that tapestry is always evolving, always inviting us to explore, to discover, to be amazed.
So go forth, intrepid listener, and explore the architectural wonders of New York City. And as you're wandering, remember this. The city's architecture is more than just bricks and mortar. It's a reflection of the human spirit, its creativity, its resilience, its endless capacity for reinvention.
And who knows? Maybe you'll even discover a hidden gem of your own, a building that speaks to you, that sparks your imagination, that makes you appreciate the power of architecture to shape our lives and our cities.
Thanks for joining us on this architectural adventure through New York City. We hope you've enjoyed the journey, and we encourage you to continue exploring, questioning, and discovering the amazing world of architecture all around you.